Ramadan is observed by more than 1.5 billion people around the world every year. It's one of those rare things that connects Muslims across countries, languages, and backgrounds in a shared experience that lasts a full month. Fasting during daylight hours is at the center of it. But it's much more than just not eating or drinking. It's a practice that touches on spirituality, self-discipline, community, and even how people see the world around them. Hey friends, welcome back to our another English shadowing practice. I'm Nathan. Before we start, just a quick reminder. Listening is great, but repeating out loud is where the real improvement comes from. So feel free to pause, take your time, and say each sentence after me. Everything here is kept short and clear, so it's easier to shadow along. Don't stress about being perfect. Progress comes from repetition, not perfection. So let's start. We'll look at where Ramadan comes from, what it really means to those who observe it, how it's practiced in daily life, some common ideas people get wrong, and what current research says about the health side of things. We'll also touch on how it compares to similar practices in other traditions and what it looks like in the modern world. Ramadan is the 9th month in the Islamic lunar calendar. The word lunar means the calendar follows the moon's cycles, so the month shifts earlier by about 10 or 11 days each year on the regular solar calendar. That means Ramadan can fall in any season over time, sometimes in summer with longer days, sometimes in winter with shorter ones. During this month, adult Muslims who are able fast from dawn until sunset. That means no food, no drinks, not even water, and no smoking or certain other physical activities from the first light of day until the sun goes down completely. This fast is one of the 5 main pillars of Islam, so it's a core part of the faith for hundreds of millions of people. The core purpose of Ramadan goes beyond the physical act of not eating. Traditionally, it's seen as a time for stronger focus on worship and getting closer to God. People often spend more time reading the Quran, praying extra prayers, and reflecting on their lives. It also builds self-control and patience. Going without food and water for hours each day helps people practice restraint, not just with eating, but with things like anger, gossip, or wasting time. Many describe it as a way to clean the mind and heart, to feel more grateful for everyday things like a simple meal or clean water. There's a strong social side, too. The fast reminds people of what it's like to go hungry, so it builds empathy for those who face poverty or lack food every day. This often leads to more generosity, like giving to charity or helping neighbors. It's a month that encourages kindness, forgiveness, and thinking about others. Ramadan has its roots in the early days of Islam. Muslims believe the Quran, the holy book, was first revealed to the Prophet Muhammad during this month, starting around the year 610 CE in the cave of Hira near Mecca. The revelation came over many years, but the connection to Ramadan made the month special right from the beginning. A few years later in Medina, fasting during this month became a required practice for the Muslim community. The command came in the Quran itself, saying that fasting was prescribed for believers just as it had been for people before them, so they could develop awareness and righteousness. From that time on, it became a fixed part of the faith. Fasting as a way to grow spiritually or discipline the body isn't unique to Islam. Many other traditions have similar practices. In Judaism, for example, there's Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, where observant Jews fast completely for about 25 hours from sunset to sunset the next day to focus on repentance and reflection. There are other fast days too, like Tisha B'Av, tied to historical events. Christianity has Lent, a 40-day period before Easter where many people give up certain foods, like meat on Fridays, or fast in some way to prepare spiritually. Some Orthodox Christians have stricter fasting rules during Lent or other seasons. In Hinduism, fasting happens on specific days or during festivals like Ekadashi or Navratri, where people might skip meals, eat only certain foods, or go without grain to honor deities or purify the body and mind. Buddhist monks often eat only before noon as a daily practice, and lay people might fast on full moon days or during retreats to support meditation and detachment. Across these traditions, fasting serves as a tool for discipline, reflection, purification, or getting closer to the divine. It's a common human practice that shows up in different forms around the world. The day starts very early before sunrise with a meal called suhoor. People wake up in the dark, often around 3 or 4 a.m., depending on the season and location, to eat something light but filling. It could be oatmeal, eggs, fruit, yogurt, dates, bread with cheese, or leftovers from the night before. The idea is to give the body enough energy and hydration to last until sunset. Many also drink extra water at this time because dehydration can become an issue later, especially in hot weather or long summer days. After suhoor, the dawn prayer is performed, and then the fast officially begins at the moment of first light. From that point until sunset, no food, no drinks, no chewing gum, no smoking, and for the purpose of the fast, no intimate relations between married couples during daylight hours. Throughout the day, normal life continues. People go to work, school, run errands, take care of kids, exercise if they choose. The absence of food and water can feel more noticeable in the afternoon, especially if the day is hot or physically demanding. But many say the challenge itself becomes part of the point. It trains patience and helps people notice habits they might not think about otherwise. As the sun begins to set, the fast ends with the call to the sunset prayer. That moment is called iftar, the breaking of the fast. The most common way to break it is with dates and water, following the example of the Prophet Muhammad. After that first bite and sip, people usually sit down for a bigger meal. Iftar can be simple, just family at home with soup, salad, bread, and a main dish, or it can turn into a large gathering with extended family, friends, or even whole communities. In many places, mosques and community centers organize public iftar meals, sometimes free or low cost, so people who don't have family nearby or who are traveling can still eat together. These gatherings often feel warm and welcoming, with lots of sharing and laughter after a long day. Right after iftar, or sometimes a bit later, people head to the mosque for special nightly prayers called Taraweeh. These are extra prayers recited in congregation, usually in portions of the Quran that change each night so that the whole book is completed by the end of the month. Some people stay up late for these prayers. Others do them at home or listen online. Between iftar and bedtime, there's often another smaller meal or snacks called suhoor's counterpart in some cultures, though it's not required. Families might watch TV together, catch up, or just rest. Sleep schedules shift a lot during Ramadan. Many people stay awake later and wake up earlier for suhoor, so daytime can feel a little slower or sleepier. Ramadan looks different depending on where you are. In the Middle East, you might see streets decorated with lights and lanterns, big family feasts, and special sweets sold everywhere. In Indonesia, The country with the largest Muslim population, people gather for takjil markets in the late afternoon, selling all kinds of drinks, snacks, and desserts to break the fast with. In Turkey, the cannon boom or drum sounds signal iftar time in many cities. In the West, especially in places like New York or London, it's often quieter, smaller family meals, maybe ordering food from halal restaurants, and lots of group chats or video calls with relatives abroad. Charity is another big part of daily life in Ramadan. Many people increase their giving, whether it's money to organizations, food to shelters, or just helping a neighbor. There's a special required charity called Zakat al-Fitr that's given before the end of Ramadan, so everyone can celebrate the holiday with enough to eat. The last 10 days of the month are considered especially important. Many people try to pray more, read more of the Quran, and spend time in quiet reflection. Some even do a kind of spiritual retreat called itikaf, staying in the mosque for several days focused only on worship. One night during those last 10 days is believed to be Laylat al-Qadr, the night of power, when the first verses of the Quran were revealed. It's described as better than 1,000 months. So many people stay up praying and asking for forgiveness that night, hoping to catch its blessings. A lot of people outside the faith have questions or assumptions about Ramadan that don't quite match the reality for most who observe it. One common idea is that fasting is mainly about feeling hungry or punishing the body. But for many Muslims, the physical hunger is actually secondary. The real focus is on the inner work, controlling what you say, how you react, what thoughts you entertain. The Quran itself says the purpose is to develop taqwa, which is often translated as God consciousness, mindfulness, or a protective awareness. So going without food becomes a tool to sharpen attention to behavior and intentions, not just an endurance test. Another misunderstanding is that everyone fasts the exact same way with no exceptions. In reality, Islamic teachings are clear about exemptions. Children who haven't reached puberty don't have to fast. People who are sick, elderly, pregnant, breastfeeding, menstruating, or traveling a certain distance are allowed to skip the fast and make it up later, or, in cases where making it up is impossible, like for chronic illness or old age, they can feed a needy person for each day missed instead. The rules are practical and built around compassion, not strict hardship. Some also think the fast stops at sunset and that's it, no more rules. But the discipline is meant to carry through the whole day and night. Speaking harshly, lying, arguing unnecessarily, backbiting, or looking at things you shouldn't, all of these break the spirit of the fast even if you didn't eat anything. Many believers say the hardest part isn't avoiding lunch. It's keeping the tongue and temper in check when someone cuts you off in traffic or annoys you at work. People sometimes ask why Ramadan can look so festive if it's supposed to be about restraint. You'll see big dinners, fancy desserts, decorated streets, and lots of shopping in some countries. That's because the evenings are times to celebrate breaking the fast, spend time with family, and enjoy what was missed during the day. The restraint happens in daylight. The nights often become moments of gratitude and togetherness. It's not a contradiction, it's balance. Ramadan brings out certain values and lessons that people mention again and again, no matter where they live. First is control over speech and emotions. You hear a lot of people say they became more patient because they didn't want to waste their fast by snapping at someone. Small arguments that might normally escalate often get diffused quickly with a simple, "I'm fasting." There's also a renewed awareness of habits. When you can't grab a coffee every few hours or snack whenever you feel like it, you start noticing how automatic those actions were. Many people use the month to rethink screen time, spending, or how they talk about others. Gratitude for basics tends to grow stronger. After a long day without water, a single glass can feel like a luxury. The same goes for food. A simple bowl of soup at iftar can taste better than a fancy meal on a normal day. That shift in perspective often lasts beyond the month. Empathy is probably the value mentioned most. When your stomach is empty and your energy is low, it's easier to imagine what life is like for people who don't get to break their fast at sunset, who don't get to eat at all some days. That feeling pushes a lot of extra giving, volunteering, and just checking in on others. Community connection runs deep, too. Even if someone fasts alone, the shared timing, everyone eating at the same sunset, praying the same extra prayers, creates a sense of being part of something bigger. Mosques fill up, group chats light up with Ramadan Mubarak messages, and families make extra effort to be together. In today's world, Ramadan has changed in some noticeable ways while keeping its core the same. In many cities, especially in Muslim-majority countries, the month has become quite social and even commercial. Restaurants stay open late, malls run big sales, TV channels air special Ramadan series, and social media fills with recipes, iftar table setups, and aesthetic lanterns. For some, that adds joy and excitement. For others, it can feel like the spiritual side gets overshadowed by the party atmosphere. Sleep patterns shift almost everywhere. With late-night prayers, big family meals, and early wake-ups for suhoor, a lot of people run on less sleep. Some adapt by napping in the afternoon. Others just power through and feel tired by the end of the month. Work and school go on as usual in most places, but adjustments happen. In some Gulf countries, work hours shorten officially. In others, people manage quietly, maybe starting earlier to finish before energy drops. Remote work and flexible schedules have made it easier in recent years. Social media has changed how Ramadan is experienced and shared. You see everything from quiet personal reflections to viral cooking videos, charity fundraisers, and even humorous memes about Ramadan productivity. It connects people across continents. Someone in New York can join an online Taraweeh prayer streamed from Mecca, or see how cousins in Pakistan decorate their home. Experiences still vary widely. For one person, Ramadan might mean deep solitude and late-night Quran reading. For another, it's loud family gatherings every night. For someone working long hours in a non-Muslim country, it might feel more private and internal. There's no single correct way intention and sincerity matter more than the outward style. Health is one topic that comes up often when people talk about Ramadan, especially those who have never fasted or who are thinking about trying it. Researchers have looked at what happens to the body during this kind of daily intermittent fasting that lasts from about 12 to 18 hours, depending on the season and location. Some studies show potential benefits, things like improved insulin sensitivity, better blood sugar control, reduced inflammation markers, and sometimes modest weight loss when people don't overcompensate at night. The regular pattern of eating only in a shorter window can act like a form of time-restricted eating, which has been studied for metabolic health in non-religious contexts too. On the other side, other research points out possible downsides, especially if habits aren't balanced. Dehydration is a real concern in hot climates, or during long summer days some people don't drink enough between iftar and suhoor. Sleep disruption from shifted schedules can lead to fatigue, lower concentration, or mood changes. There are also reports of overeating at iftar or late-night snacking, which can cause digestive issues, acid reflux, or even cancel out some of the metabolic gains. What almost every study agrees on is that outcomes depend heavily on the individual. People who eat nutritious suhoor and iftar meals, stay hydrated, avoid heavy fried foods every night, and get decent rest tend to handle the month better and sometimes report feeling more energized by the end. Those who skip suhoor, load up on sweets and caffeine after sunset, or don't adjust sleep often feel worse. Doctors usually recommend checking with a healthcare provider if someone has diabetes, heart conditions, or other chronic issues before fasting. In the end, Ramadan is often described as a kind of yearly reset. For many, it's a built-in pause a month to step back from autopilot, refocus on what matters spiritually, and reconnect with deeper values. It blends faith with family routines, cultural traditions, personal goals, and community ties. Some people look forward to it as the highlight of their year. Others find it challenging but rewarding. The way it's lived can look very different from one home to the next, one country to another, even one year to the next in the same person's life. What stays constant is the shared rhythm. The quiet mornings before dawn, the moment the sun drops and the fast breaks, the extra prayers under the same moon, the small acts of kindness that multiply across neighborhoods and cities. For different people, Ramadan represents different things: deeper faith, stronger community, better self-discipline, a chance to reflect, or simply a beautiful annual homecoming to what feels most essential. However it's experienced, it remains one of the largest, longest, and most consistent collective practices in the world today. A full lunar month where millions choose, day after day, to redirect their attention inward and outward at the same time. All right. If you made it through this shadowing session today, that already says something about your discipline. This repetition and consistency combination might look boring on paper, but it is one of the most powerful ways to build fluent, natural English. Keep showing up like this, and your brain will slowly adapt. Trust the process. If this helped even a little, consider liking the video or subscribing. It lets me know these sessions are actually making a difference. We will do this again soon. Take care.